Hey guys, in this redgamingtech.com video we're going to be taking a look at today's summer sale deals, which is on July the 14th today. First up, we're going to be taking a look at Elder Scrolls Skyrim. It's one of the most obvious ones for me to talk about. I'm pretty sure most of you know by now what this game is. You can play in, of course, first and third person, and it's probably one of the most moddable games out there. It's also probably one of the biggest games out there in sheer time that you can play. And of course DLC is going to be released soon. Also, if you buy this game, you can have the free HD collection, the HD add-on, which of course makes the textures a little bit shinier. It's one of those 50% off titles, which brings it down to £17.37 if you're in England, which is a pretty damn good price, to be honest. You can get it for actually slightly cheaper than that, I believe, on consoles if you look around, but nevertheless. Oh, and by the way, if you're kind of new to Skyrim, or even if you're into Skyrim, I'd recommend checking out Lockpick Pro. I have no affiliation with it at all, I promise. But I just absolutely hate lockpicking. It's one of the things that really I just always have despised in Elder Scrolls games. So I'd recommend checking that out. It makes lockpicking very easy, almost to the point where it's not even a big deal. But I really hate lockpicking. So there you have it. Anyway, just a little bit of a tip there from you to anyway think about. Anyway, moving on. Next one, Dead Island. This was one of those games where I really wanted it, and yes, I didn't say all those realies. It looked amazing just from the trailer alone. I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but the little girl, when it didn't go too well for her. It's actually a very beautiful looking game. Anyway, fast forward several months, and of course the game's damn well released, and well, I don't mind it. It's not bad, is what it comes down to. It's 66% off, which brings it to a shade under £7. Is that a bad price? No, it is not, my good sir. It's actually, oh, good madam, indeed. It's actually a very good price. Whether I'd buy it heavily depends on, you know, whether you're really into that type of thing. The DLCs are also on special offer. They are also 66% off, which brings the Bloodbath and the Rider White DLCs to £2.71 each. Or you can also buy the Dead Island 4-pack, where obviously, as you would expect, you get 4 copies of the game to distribute among your Steam buddy friends, and that's basically £20. I don't know what that is in dollars, I am afraid. It's a pretty good price. You can also buy it with the Brady Games guide if you like. That's £11.21, so the guide's actually still pretty dang expensive. The guide's actually £4.41 by itself, even with the 66% off. Would I say it's worth it? Well, possibly. It heavily depends. If you're into your zombies, it's probably going to be a lot more worth buying. Definitely worth checking out, especially for the multiplayer aspect as well, of course. What you guys don't know until now is that I'm actually trying to record this in between actually eating, which makes things really interesting. Because I have a really awesome food that I've just cooked, steak and vegetables and all. I'm like, I really want to eat it, but I also really want to get the video out, so it's kind of conflicting interests. Anyway, moving on. Indie Bundle 3. 75% off. They seem to be doing all the indie bundles on the Steam sales, which is fantastic. I always like the thought of getting more indie games out there. Anyway, this is 75% off, which brings it to £7. Now, this is one of those times where, once again, if you are interested in buying pretty much 1 or 2 of the games, you might as well buy the entire pack. Insanely, shall I say, Twisted Shadow Planet is one of the games I've played. I happen to know that a master has played Braid. I only know a little bit about a bunch of heroes. I don't know if she's played that. I think she may have. It's really hard to keep track of all the games that we've all played. She typically plays a lot more indie titles than I. Anyway, I will say I have played Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet, and it's a fantastic bloody game. And for £7, it's almost worth it for the damn pack, just for that one game alone. I do know that Braid is actually very good, however, and Bunch of Heroes is not shabby either. I can't really say much about the other 2 games, But come on, for £7, you've got two really good games there. I'd almost be tempted to say that you should just buy it just for Insanely Twisted, as it has a very awesome animation style. I would actually extremely encourage you to check out my first impressions of the game. I did play it for about 30 minutes, and it's actually quite damn entertaining. It's probably one of my funniest videos, actually. It does have a good puzzle element among it, so yeah, I'd recommend checking it out. Very, very fun game. So once again, I very much like the graphical stylings of that one too. Next up on our list of treasures is Orcs Must Die. This one I consider to be an old faithful to Steam sales. Pretty much every time there's a Steam sale, since Orcs Must Die has been released, you can pretty much bet your bottom dollar that it's going to appear at least one or two of the days. I'm pretty sure most of you know what this is about now. The idea is that you really don't like orcs. They're invading your, castle or whatever the hell it is, fortress. And there's a fly that's really trying to annoy me. And on top of that, you really have to defend yourself by placing traps and so on. Personally, this is one of those games I never really was that interested in. It's 75% off, which brings it to £3, which is not a bad deal at all. The fact of the matter is, it can be fun, and you can do some dastardly stuff, and you can actually get yourself some good high scores and so on. Would I buy it? Personally, I would not. But that's just because it's not really my cup of coffee, if you will. I was going to say tea, but I don't really like tea. Apart from if it's green tea, I'm really going on a tangent, sorry. Anyway, so yeah, I'd probably recommend this one if you're into the puzzle kind of element, or if you're more into just, a little bit of mindless fun, but with a little bit of thought behind it. I know that didn't really make much sense, but anyway. So there you have it, guys. That's not a bad game, not a bad price. I'll leave that one up to you. Next up is another game that I haven't actually gotten around to playing, although I've heard it's absolutely brilliant. And that is Frozen Synapse. It's 80% off, which is pretty damn good. And astoundingly, and I do mean astoundingly, for £3.79, that's the 80% off price, you actually get an extra copy. So you can actually send that extra copy to your friend. So conceivably, you and your friend could, chip in together, or you could just buy them out of the goodness of your heart. You can also buy the complete version if you want, which you get a little bit of extra stuff, including the DLCs and the soundtrack. This is one of those games where you're either going to love it or you're not. Graphically, if you've ever played something like, let's go with Metal Gear Solid, the VR missions, you know what I mean, the virtual reality where everything's kind of blue and certain colours. Looks very much like that. You can, of course, plan your routes, and you can basically, the idea is, to get your squad to A to B and to take out certain objectives. It's not bad at all. It actually rates very highly, and a lot of people really love this one. I personally haven't actually played it. Once again, that is much to my lament. It is supposedly a very good game, but there you have it. I'm not gonna say much more on that because it's unfair to the game since I've not really played it. Tearing myself away from my steak once again, I bring myself to Borderlands. Remember how I was just saying that some games are old faithfuls on Steam? Well, this is damn well one of them. This once again seems to be on pretty much all of them, just like Orcs Must Die. This one is 75% off, which brings it to £5, which is around the normal price for it on Steam sales. Not a bad deal per se. It's a little bit old now. It's released in 2009 October. But perhaps the most damning thing is the second, or shall I say the sequel, will be released in sometime September, I believe. He says as he runs over to Wiki. Yep. September, which is once again released on Windows and PS3 and of course Xbox 360. So this one worth getting? Well, you can of course level up, learn experience, everything else. Not terrible. 75% off. You can buy a 4-pack, which isn't bad. Which also brings me to the fact that you can actually buy the 2K collection, 75% off of that, which brings it to £40, where you get an absolute ridiculous amount of stuff, including Mafia, Bioshock, Civilization 5, Borderlands, The Line, Spec Ops The Line, shall I say, and some other goodies as well. Would I say that it's worth the money? I'm going to leave that one to you. It's a little bit old now, which is the only slight problem. It's still a crap ton of fun, but is it a crap ton of fun that you're going to want to have in a couple of months' time? Possibly not. This one is borderline, if you will. So yeah, it's not bad. Probably personally would leave it because just how close the second one's out. But still, if you're just into some minor fun or you just want something cheap, could be worth getting, I suppose. Just a few titles remain now on my little list of fun. Next up, we have Two Worlds 2. This is, once again, one of those titles that was actually really anticipated. It was heavily anticipated upon release, and there was some disappointment to it, to say the least, when it was, well, released. It's got a mediocre rating, generally speaking. You're looking at about, the 60s to 80%. It's not a bad game, I want to stress that. It does have some problems, and the fact it's almost, well, it's just over a year now, it's about a year and a half old. Is it worth getting? If you're really into your Skyrims, and I mean like heavily into a Skyrim, it could be. But obviously it's not as in-depth. The fact of the matter is, it's 75% off, which makes it £5. It's not... Oh, by the way, sorry, you can also get the Velvet Edition, which includes a few other shiny bits. And that's £6.24. Is it worth getting? If you're really into medieval hack and slash games and you feel that you have a bit of a void, then it could be. There are, of course, a few others that are being released in the not too distant future for the PC. So I'll leave that one to you. It's not a bad game. In the Steam sale, there are, basically it's like this: if you feel to yourself that £5 or whatever that is in your currency is, not really going to make a difference to you in the Steam sale, then go ahead and get it if you've got interest. If, on the other hand, you're working on a fairly limited budget and you think to yourself, you know what, I can maybe scrape together a few more games, then I probably would give this one a miss. So it's that simple. I'll just break it down for you. I think that's the easiest way. Next up is another game that I haven't played. I'll just be honest, if I have not touched a game. I have done a little bit of research on it, however, and Showdown is pretty, to say the least. It's $14.99, 50% off, which is not the greatest deal in the history of man, but it was only released the 24th of May, so we won't, spank them or anything, unless they really want us to, and have been bad. I've possibly disturbed some of you by now. It makes me feel happy, to be honest. Anyway, moving on. It does look pretty, but reviews are okay. I'd recommend checking this one out and doing a lot of research on this one before you go ahead and buy it. If you're really into racing games and you want something that's pretty and so on, then you go ahead and buy it by all means. On the other hand, oh, by the way, you can also get a Destroy Your Friends copy, which is pretty damn good. You save, well, quite a bit of money actually. It's £22.49, which basically means that you get 2 copies, so each one's basically costing you £11. Not bad. If you and your friend, if you can convince a friend to get it with you, this is probably your best bet, to be honest, to get it. It basically means that each of your friends are getting the copy for about £10 round pounds. Once again, it scores fairly average at the best, 70% region. I don't know if I'd personally get it at this price. I think there are quite a reasonable amount of racing games out there. I personally think that the other day's deal of a Ridge Racer was better. I quite liked Ridge Racer actually, and I have it on the channel, so you might want to consider checking that out. Other than that, whether you want it or not, that is totally up to you. Okay, next and final one on today's special list is Tropico 4. Once again, be honest, haven't even slightly looked into this one in terms of buying it for myself. However, I have done some research for you guys, and it does seem to get reasonable on Metacritics and so on. Reviews are generally, the 80% plus region. Metacritic is, I believe, 78. It's not bad. I believe that basically you make your own tropical resort and so on. God, I miss stuff like Roller Coaster Tycoon and Theme Park, which I absolutely loved. I won't even go into my dismay, however, on losing some of the Bullfrog titles, because I will probably start crying. Once again, I'll leave this one to you. I'd recommend checking it out yourself before you buy it. It's 75% off, £6.24, or you can buy a special bundle, £13, and you get lots and lots and lots and lots of DLC. So that's pretty cool. The DLC itself is also, by the way, on special offer. Now, I will actually dedicate a few moments to just mentioning other cool little shiny things that happen to be on the deals section. Right this moment, you happen to have Plants vs Zombies. Not a bad title. I'm pretty sure most of you know what that one's about by now, so I really won't go into it. You also have Portal. I'm sorry, I have completely, utterly misspoken. You also has YS Origins, or Yeast Origin. I actually did a video on this one. It was actually quite popular, the video I mean, as well as the game. It's actually a very good old school kind of RPG. It's only got a few hours left, so unless you're actually looking at this video right this second, you're going to probably miss it, unfortunately. There's also Brink, which I think is okay, and Sam and Max, as well as, of course, the obligatory Star Wars The Old Republic, or should I say Knights of the Old Republic. I think this one's just about always on sale, once again, whenever it's on Steam. Highly recommend you check that one out, if you've not already. It does have some issues, particularly with widescreen. There are some hacks that are not official. Of course, they're not illegal when I say hacks in this case. Where you can actually get it to run in widescreen with somewhat mixed results. Definitely a really good game, which I won't even lament over the fact that, of course, they did not release the Old Republic 3. Instead, they released it as an MMO, even though it's a reasonable game. I won't go into that one, because I will probably, once again, be sad. So anyway, guys, that's a pretty good look. Don't forget, this deals are on until the 22nd of July. Nearer the end of the deals, probably maybe the 21st, I'll probably release a special video just mentioning about the really good packs and so on that are available, because obviously some of them are pretty good. There's also yesterday's deals, which are still on. Of course, the best, in my opinion at least, are probably Binding of Isaac, very good, Max Payne 3, fantastico, Space Marines is not bad, and From Dust, pretty damn good, as well as Sonic Generations. You've also got Indie Bundle 2. Anyway, I think that just about covers everything. I've been rambling on for about 20 minutes now. I'm finally going to eat the remains of my food, even though it's got a little bit cold. If you wish to give me sympathies via text, you may. So anyway, hopefully you guys will have found this somewhat informative. Check out redgamingtech.com for more stuffs, even though it's a little bit chaotic this weekend because Amata is in Londinium. She's at a festival, and I am doing everything by my lonesome, and I've also had family visiting and everything else, which means that things are a little bit trickier than they normally would be for us to put out content. However, we are down well, going to be doing the best we can, and up today alone I've put up a video. Hopefully there'll be another one, and hopefully Amata will, when she gets back to her place, will be able to upload a video, obviously, assuming she doesn't get back too late. Anyway, hopefully you guys have found this useful. As I said, I will stop this now as I need to eat and edit. So take care of yourselves. Bye for now.